Welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal podcast. Today's episode is entitled Artificial Intelligence or AI Revolution. How AI is transforming industries and the world. How AI is transforming industries and the world. And I am sharing let me stop sharing I am sharing my screen. Let me see, what am I sharing here? There we go. Go back to today the neoliberal as promised, the Neoliberal podcast presents Data on Stage, the artificial intelligence AI revolution, how AI is poised to transform industries and reshape the world. It is an episode that is brought to you by the Neoliberal Corporation, sponsored by Statista, and we are so happy that the folk or the team at Statista would share this information and this webinar with us so that we can share it with the world, and we were pleased to participate in this webinar. We are at a pivotal moment in the world. At a time when we are questioning the end of currency, China, Brazil, and several other countries are seeking to replace the US dollar with crypto. Artificial intelligence is becoming normal talk in everyday language as society becomes more sophisticated, thanks to advances in technology. According to Berger Thormundson of Statista.com in an article entitled Artificial Intelligence, Worldwide Statistics and Facts, dated March 2, 2022 in Statista, a major part of real-world AI has to be solved to make unsupervised, generalized, full self-driving work, as the entire road system is designed for biological neural nets with optical images. That's according to a tweet from Musk University. I agreed, saying, what will we do with the rideshare drivers who will be out of work once AI become fully functional in self-driving cars? Not only are we to think about the road system, but also the human being. The more we develop robotics, human work becomes unnecessary, which affects earning potential. Unless we come up with another mechanism to base earnings, or we will live in a welfare consumer society. But who is working on the human and the loss of work? Who is working on revolutionizing human compensation that is tied to productivity and activity, which will become redundant to machines? For every skill or work will become redundant to machines. Every skill or work, AI will eventually replace. So what's next and what gives? The society was never built to facilitate AI. So we may have to revolutionize human systems. Since we move away from the barter exchange systems, so on and so forth. And so that's one of the drawbacks and one of the things I talk about in a recent article, which was the epiphany behind doing this particular show today. But more so, as an adjunct professor at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, there is the issue of plagiarism, where it's easy for students to produce work. But I have argued that we may have to rethink about, just so we have to rethink about the roadways, we have to rethink about schooling. We shouldn't have to require huge sums of money for people to go to school. People have lots of do-it-yourself stuff on YouTube now, where you don't have to go to school to put wheels in a car and to understand the systems and how to repair systems in a car and so on and so forth. It's becoming easier now. What about those paper writers who used to write papers and so on and so forth, and executive assistants? You know what? This particular show is powerful, and Alexandria, who is one of the leading members, part of the team at AI, who is gonna be interviewing the two powerful guests with us, Timothy Owens and Vadim Makanim, and she will introduce him properly. I think I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly. This particular webinar was was done more so in Europe, and very few people in the West got a hold of this. So we are pleased. The Neoliberal Corporation is pleased to be part of one of the first group of podcasters and media people to make this available to you. Please let us know let us know what you think about this show, and send us a feedback. Here is the webinar.
Hello and welcome to Data on Stage. That is
the webinar series. I'm Alexandra from the Statista Marketing and Communications Department, and I'm very pleased that you're with us today. As I can still see participants are joining the session, I would like to take the chance to start with some housekeeping first. So if you can hear me, please click the raise the hand button below the chat window. I can see many hands are raising. Great. Thanks so much for your support. Further, whenever you have a question during the session, please feel free to send us your question via the chat window. At the end of the session, we will take some time to answer your questions. All questions that we cannot answer at the end will be answered by our today's expert and our experts from Statista Ask team. And finally, I would like to answer the most asked question beforehand. Of course, we will share the presentations with you afterwards. And now let's jump into the world of the AI revolution. And I'm very happy to introduce today's experts, Timothy Owens, Team Lead Research Digital, and Vadim Makarenko, Director Research Digital. Welcome, Tim and Vadim. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our webinar. Let us briefly introduce ourselves. I'm Vadim Makarenko, Director of Research Digital at Statista Editorial and Research Intelligence. I run the department that analyzes new trends in media, advertising, and technologies. And I'm privileged to work with brilliant people of various backgrounds and learn from them every day here at Statista. My own background is data and business journalism. I spent 25 years with Gazeta Wyborcza in Poland, where I was covering media, advertising, marketing, and technologies. And my second background is media studies. I'm a partner for the Digital News Report at the Reuters Institute in the University of Oxford. Now over to you, Tim.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Tim Owens. I am the lead for the Tech and Telecoms research team at Statista's Editorial and Research Intelligence Division, where my team and I explore a variety of topics from AI to semiconductors, extended reality, and all things hardware and software. Before this role, I had many years of experience working as the chief sub-editor and an emerging markets analyst at Oxford Business Group, providing in-depth analysis and research in more than 35 global economies. Today, I'm excited to share our latest research findings on artificial intelligence and its potential to disrupt the economy.
Since the beginning of the AI chats explosion, which happened probably later last year, our teams have been working hard to understand and explain to our customers the potential disruption this new tool is going to cause. The data we compiled today for you is going to cast light on AI's influence on industries and markets, as well as challenges.
Notice, this is very important. The potential disruptions. If you read my book, Neoliberalism, Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty, and Resistance, I talk about the global South as against the global North and how globalization, my hypothesis speaks to this particular issue, how globalization has created mixed realities for people of the global South, okay? People of the global South, and how bureaucracies and how arrangements deliberately leaves people behind. Of course, the Industrial Revolution, okay? The Industrial Revolution, and as we speed towards technological advances, what we have found is that the industrialization and now deindustrialization to technological sophistication and AI revolution We've already seen how that has upended lives. And I have said to you, for people in the US, for people who are in Philadelphia, you go to Kensington, and in certain places, you see how the opioid crisis and how tremendous suffering and poverty and lack and relative deprivation leading to high crime and violence is affecting peoples in communities in cities because of deindustrialization, a loss of work, a lot of de-skilling. And so we talk about the potential. This is important, and they are going to say, and when we listen to the presentation, they're going to talk about the prospects of creating jobs, but the prospect of shifting jobs. But you're going to notice a lack. Jobs are being lost, jobs are being created, but the difference between the jobs lost and the jobs gained is about 20 million. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's continue with the webinar.
We are about to face. AI has become a growing concern across all industries. Even if we consider its ability to assist with simple, boring, and repetitive tasks, it will inevitably change the way we train our workforce and navigate traditional career paths. For instance, if newsrooms, which are the part of the industry which is still close to my heart, if newsrooms start relying on AI to handle tasks like writing weather forecasts, for example, reporting soccer match results, summarizing and transcribing interviews, how will we train junior journalists? And similarly, if law firms start relying on AI to analyze court data, draft legal documents, and manage case files, what will happen to the careers of paralegals? I guess the reason we are gathered here today, fully focused and attentive, is because for the first time, white-collar jobs are at risk. AI.
Absolutely. And today I spent all day using artificial intelligence technology. As a content developer, I used it to do simple tasks that I would ask a secretary to do in terms of editing tasks, even as an adjunct to edit work, to review work. It is it's a powerful tool. And I'm telling you, say for example, what about people, editors and people who writing people, writers, and it is editors, even schools. You have to now question whether or not there is a need for school. YouTube has already started to show people how to do it yourself. Not just simple tasks, but even medium to even more complex tasks.
AI will have an impact on how analysts, managers, writers, and designers carry out their work. This time, it's not limited to porters, taxi drivers, or cleaners.
Indeed.
The good news overall is that AI allows businesses to eliminate inefficiencies and drive profits. Companies are looking to automate low-risk and high-value tasks, redirecting their workforce towards more complex tasks and tasks that cannot be performed solely by AI. As Thomas Davenport, professor of IT and management at Babson College, says, to use generative AI effectively, you still need human involvement and at both the beginning and the end of the process.
That is true.
Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Vadim.
Just before, let me just pick up on what Vadim says. So I've been using ChatGPT as a digital content creator, as an adjunct professor, as a writer. And this is my particular industry. My particular industry is driven by AI, but the thing is, you cannot allow AI to take over your work, because when I was finished writing, I had to rewrite, I had to regenerate the questions and several times in order for the AI to get it right. And even afterwards, I met with a client today. I provided a proposal to develop a website for this client. So I asked ChatGPT to develop a proposal with including these with these particular services, with this pricing, and I had to ask it over and over and over. But it was pretty quick and neat. And but at the end of the day, but you still have to edit it and do some work. So if you want to be more effective, AI will provide you with the information you need, but it's not the end all. You'll have to probably play with it to do some more work with it. But I am telling you, it is, once this technology is improved, it will completely change the way we think about how we train people for any industry, both, and if it is utilized in almost, and right now it's a $1 trillion industry. Every industry is racing towards incorporating AI in their platforms and so on. So in the next couple of years, you're going to see what's going to happen in society. This webinar is revolutionary. This webinar is a webinar you want to listen to and you want to take into consideration. Let's listen to Tim.
First, let's take a look at the current state of affairs and see where the adoption of new technologies is actually happening. Which industries are most affected, and what does it mean for all of us? Recently, Lex Friedman, a Russian-American computer scientist, podcaster, and AI researcher, emphasized the importance of considering both the positive and negative effects of technology. He stated, technology usually creates more jobs than it destroys, but for every lost job, there's a deep human cost. According to the World Economic Forum's latest Future of Jobs report, employers expect significant disruption and churn in the labor market due to technological innovation over the next 5 years. Specifically, the labor market is projected to undergo substantial changes, with the loss of 83 million jobs and the creation of 69 million new jobs within the next 5 years.
Okay, this is a very important thing. We talk about relative deprivation. Relative deprivation, I mean, high amount of income inequality, high amount of poverty will drive up what those societies, that's a Marxist materialist ideology. High amount of poverty, high amount of income inequality will lead to a high amount of what? Crime and violence. You find that there's been a stark increase in crime and violence as technology, the sophistication in technology and the way we do work, work becomes more technological. It's the sophistication, the evolution of work, the evolution of technology is changing rapidly before our eyes. Okay. And so the way how, and even since COVID and with people working more remotely, and I've said to you, look what as we move from the agrarian revolution to farming and so on to industrial, and then a lot of people were left behind. But when we move from industrialization to deindustrialization, and now because of technology, you look what's going on in, again, Kensington and in many communities that usually depend on industrial jobs. Now say for example, you go to car manufacturing plant. They don't need all these. They don't need a lot of people to work these plants. They don't need. You look at the I think the Philadelphia inquiry. They just scaled down their operations. Now they're operating out of a very small office building. They had a huge building. They sold that huge building. They sold that building to the police force, and now they're operating into a small space in Philadelphia. Okay, white collar jobs don't demand the staffing and labor to do the work that they usually do. So as companies think about becoming more efficient, you're also thinking about the end of work. Or the end of certain work and the end of certain labor. You input certain skills within a particular system, you generate all of that work for you. I used to work as an HR manager at Lord & Taylor's. And I remember I used to have a staff, and from a staff to know when it was just myself and my secretary, and then after that, it was just me. But I was doing everything. But you can imagine if I had artificial intelligence, if I had AI, it's changing the way we think about work. It's changing why you think look what's going on with WHYY laying off all those people. They don't need all those writers and staffers anymore. You don't need as many persons to do so what's going to happen to all these people? And just so you know, we're talking about, they said that the labor market will undergo significant changes with a lot of 83 million, the creation of 69 million. If 83 million jobs are lost and we only create 69 million jobs because of AI, that means there is a difference. There is a difference of almost 20 million. What happened to the 20 million jobs? What's going to make up for lack. Theft, we see a rise in criminality in society today. This is quite interesting. Let's listen. Let's continue with listening to Tim.
This represents a structural shift of 152 million jobs, which account for 23% of the data set. The rapid advancement of the fourth industrial revolution has sped up the adoption of technologies, fundamentally changing the ways that humans and machines interact. This technological transformation not only impacts our work, but also alters job requirements, skill demands, and the displacement of certain occupations. As we can see, AI is among the top technologies expected to be adopted in the next 5 years, with 75% of companies planning to incorporate it into their businesses. Notably, AI ranks even higher in terms of adoption than virtual and augmented reality. During an April 2023 interview with 60 Minutes, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, highlighted the wide-ranging impact of AI development, stating that every product of every company would be impacted by the quick development of AI, and that we need to adapt as a society for it, adding that knowledge workers in particular would be impacted. While AI adoption has been around since the 1950s, the rates of adoption have experienced remarkable growth in the past 5 years. In 2017, a survey by McKenzie and Company showed that 20% of respondents had implemented AI in at least one business area. However, by 2022, this percentage had surged to 50%, marking a 2.5-fold increase compared to 2017. So where is this adoption happening around the world? As we can see, AI deployment and exploration varies across different regions, with Chinese and Indian companies leading the way. In these countries, 60% of IT professionals stated that their organizations were actively deploying AI in 2022. Chinese technology giants like Baidu and ByteDance are significantly expanding their presence in the field of AI. In addition to their current product offerings, these companies are exploring new frontiers, such as generative AI tools similar to ChatGPT. Notably, ByteDance is renowned for its AI capabilities, particularly in empowering the recommendation system behind the viral success of TikTok and its Chinese counterpart, Douyin. Furthermore, Chinese firms like SenseTime and McKenzie have leveraged AI to develop sophisticated facial recognition systems. So, which industries are utilizing AI and in what capacities? Well, according to this McKenzie and Company chart, the highest AI adoption rates in 2022 were observed in the high-tech and telecom sector for risk-related applications, followed by consumer goods and retail service operations, and financial services product and/or service development. Notably, AI is being used in risk assessment to analyze data patterns, identify potential threats, and make informed predictions. In corporate finance, for example, algorithms fueled by AI are used for trading, risk assessment and mitigation, and fraud detection, enabling firms to make better data-driven decisions. OpenAI, the US AI research lab and company responsible for generative AI products such as ChatGPT and DALL-E, has developed technology based on neural networks that mimic the human brain. These networks allow the system to learn from vast data sets and generate predictions based on acquired knowledge. According to enterprise apps today, companies in the tech and education sectors are the primary adopters of OpenAI products for their business processes. Tech companies are utilizing OpenAI's developer tools and APIs to enhance their processes, and in the education sector, chatbots and virtual assistants are used to interact with students and to generate educational content and lesson plans.
Most definitely. As an adjunct professor, it will help me. I've been using it. I plan to teach 2 courses this semester, and I'm going to be able to do that because of chatbot or Chat GPT or OpenAI. I've been using OpenAI. It's called Chat OpenAI, which is different from really Chatbot GPT. You can use Chat OpenAI, but I have been using it also to develop. Hopefully I'm going to say, for example, I'm writing a proposal, I'm writing a grant, I'm writing a call. There's a call for papers, and I wrote a 1,000-page essay, but they only need 250 words. Summarizing the essay, I asked OpenAI, copied and pasted the entire thing into OpenAI, asking it to give me a summary of 250 words. It gave me 250 words. Well, it gave me 500. I said, nope, do it again. And until I got 250, then I edited it and submitted it to the Association for Graduate Liberal Studies Professionals for the presentation. So it is quite an effective tool. It is quite an effective tool and a supportive tool. Let's continue with the presentation.
So what exactly is generative AI? Well, it's an advanced AI system that can produce text, images, and other forms of media as a response to given prompts. In terms of its usage and adoption, the marketing and advertising industry leads the way, with 37% of respondents stating they use it for work-related tasks. According to Greg Pichota, an analyst from the International News Media Association, for advertising purposes, generative AI is ready to market. Indeed, AI lowers the cost of production and increases supply. New upgrades of Midjourney, a generative AI that creates images, suggest that on the creative front, AI can outcompete traditional agencies on price. A photo session for an established car brand is now at least 40,000 euros, with good artists, the crew, suitable outdoor setting, and post-production all necessary. However, Midjourney generated and manually adjusted images cost a fraction of this price. We may witness the dawn of small creative industries and boutiques where just a couple of creatives empowered by generative AI will produce ad campaigns which today require at least 30 to 50 employees. Now, a clue as to where AI adoption may increase in the near to medium term lies in where global private investment is currently being directed. In 2022, there was almost $92 billion of private investment in AI, with the medical and healthcare industry receiving the lion's share at $6.1 billion, followed by data management, processing and cloud, fintech, and cybersecurity and data protection. Take the medical sector, for instance. AI algorithms are used to analyze patient data for faster and more accurate diagnoses, and in enhancing medical imaging analysis to aid in early disease detection. Now, let's explore what the most important skills for the future are and what professions are most exposed to automation. According to the WEF, more than 70% of companies surveyed consider creative thinking and analytical thinking to be the skills most expected to rise in importance between 2023 and 2027. Indeed, cognitive skills are the skills growing in importance most rapidly due to increasing complexities in the workplace. Technological literacy is the third skill most expected to rise, with almost 68% of companies considering so, while almost 60% of companies believe AI and big data skills will rise in importance over the next 5 years. As we navigate the fast-paced changes in the professional landscape, it's evident that fostering creativity, analytical thinking, and keeping up with technological advancements will be key to thriving in the workplace of tomorrow. But how about recruiters? Who are they currently looking to hire And what tech skills are they after? Well, the most demanded tech skills by recruiters in 2023 are web development, DevOps, and database software. In terms of AI, around 25% of recruiters were looking to hire people with AI, machine learning, and deep learning knowledge, making this the fourth most in-demand set of tech skills for the year. So let's dive into the world of job trends for 2023. What are the fastest growing positions and which ones are experiencing a slowdown? Well, the most rapidly expanding positions are dominated by technology, digitalization, and sustainability, with AI and machine learning specialists leading the way. These roles are followed by sustainability specialists, business intelligence analysts, and information security analysts. On the flip side, the fastest declining positions, due to their repetitive nature of the tasks involved, are primarily clerical and secretarial roles. Bank tellers and related clerks, postal service clerks, cashiers and ticket clerks, and data entry clerks are expected to experience the most rapid decline due to the influence of technology and digitalization.
Based on the outline.
But what does all this mean for the future of jobs? Will there be more opportunities or fewer? Let's delve into some insights. When it comes to big data, the majority of companies surveyed worldwide hold an optimistic view. 65% of these companies believe that big data will have a positive impact on the global job market, creating new employment opportunities, with only 7% anticipating job displacement. Now, let's turn our attention to AI. It's expected to bring about more significant disruptions to the labor market. Around 23% of organizations are bracing for job displacement due to the adoption of AI, while 49% see it as a catalyst for job creation. In a potential warning of things to come, in early May 2023, IBM CEO...
I'm going to stop here. There are going to be job disruptions, and it's going to impact negatively on industries and on societies and communities if we do not brace for the changes, if we do not change how we do things in society. We have to look at compensation, we have to look at currency, we have to look at everything. Open AI or artificial intelligence is a significant change, will create a significant shift and change in society. We have already seen what industrialization has done, industrialization and what technology have been doing to communities and to families. And with artificial intelligence, which is even much more technological, it completely, and not only is it looking at we're not looking at manufacturing industries now, we're also looking at white collar jobs. It will create problems in industries and in the world of work and in society. Okay, to say that, oh, it's going to create great opportunities, we're speaking thin air. Okay, as a society, we have a responsibility, and this is why this is very good to have a webinar like this. Is quite important. Okay, it's quite important. But this, my recommendation is this, and my suggestion is this, and based on my reading and everything, it is this that we will have to do with. We have to do away with currency. We have to do away with how we think about compensation and the values that we put on work. AI is cheapening labor now. It is cheapening labor. Labor becomes cheap. It is cheapening work, the value of work and labor, and so on. I'm telling you that. Because now it's gonna create problems in society that people are saying, oh, well, there's gonna be a 23%, and 23% expect the technology will displace more jobs. Meanwhile, only 7% believe big analytics will displace jobs, while 65% predict it will create more jobs. That's a prediction based on what? Yes, it will create more jobs than the job that it is losing. Absolutely not. That's not what we're seeing. From where I sit and with what I can do, I can do with less people and less organization. A smaller organization. I believe the organization may become more profitable, but maybe not, because with AI, it creates more people can now do what 1 or 2 or 3 organizations have a monopoly or expertise over. Now everyone becomes an expert or have expertise to do a particular thing, given artificial intelligence. We have to be realistic with what we are talking about. Let's continue. Let's pick up from where Timothy left off.
Arvind Krishna said the firm would like to pause hiring for 7,800 jobs because these roles could be performed by AI in the coming years. Indeed, he said the company would.
There we go. There is no way that someone can say that while someone is saying that, oh, they can pause hiring 7,000 people over the next 7 years. But there are those who are saying that, 65% predict that big analytics and AI will predict that it will create more jobs. Absolutely ridiculous. It will create more jobs. People who can create questions, people who can manipulate. We already have those people. We just wouldn't need at least 10 people. We won't need 10 people in the newsroom anymore. We only need 5.
Would either slow down or suspend back office functions such as human resources.
Okay, that's another thing. We will have to what? Slow down or cut out human resources. Society and industries was already cutting out human resources, outsourcing it to other people. They were already doing that. Now they don't even have to outsource it because the jobs can be done in-house by a robot, by a machine, by an artificial intelligence. And I say to you, part of what's going on in society in terms of people's inability to properly resolve their conflict and persons who are this mass shootings happening in society is because we no longer have human resources. We no longer have customer service dealing with these issues. So people now are taking their grievances elsewhere. People are so I'm telling you, we talk about, there is an article that talks about looking at how AI presents or poses an apocalyptic end to society, to the world, to humanity. And I said, humanity is the end of humanity. There is much more to say about, as we think about evolution and how human beings are creating intelligence to make life better, but in a sense, in doing so, they are outsourcing themselves and their work. And I wonder if the gods who created all things had started to do that and then realized what had happened. I don't know. These are just talk. This is quite powerful. This is a theory. This is a discussion that we need to have as theologians as well, because talking about what is our eschatology. We talk about the eschatology, the end of all things. What is your theology of the end? Does it involve artificial intelligence?
As the rollout of AI progresses, it's natural for people to have concerns about how it will impact their lives, and the future of their jobs. While some economists paint a gloomy picture of potential job losses, it's essential to consider real-world examples. Countries like Japan, Singapore, and South Korea, known for their high rates of automation and robotics, also boast impressively low unemployment rates. This suggests that the relationship between AI and employment is more complex than initially perceived. Nevertheless, according to a survey of US companies by PwC, 77% of AI leaders, meaning businesses that are more likely to be using AI to improve processes, and 67% of other companies had already implemented or were starting to implement AI to increase automation or reduce their general hiring needs in 2022. These statistics highlight the practical application of AI in streamlining processes and potentially reshaping traditional hiring practices. Moreover, according to that same survey, 71% of AI leaders and 45% of other companies had already integrated AI technologies into their business operations to some extent. According to PwC, those AI leading firms were approximately twice as likely to report substantial value from AI initiatives to improve productivity, decision-making, customer experience, product and service information, employee experience, and more.
Okay, that does not say anything about employee retention. Or these same companies, how many? Compared with other companies, what's their staffing look like before and after they implemented artificial intelligence and these kind of robotics and technology? These Japanese firms and how they were able to do that and how they were able to integrate. Please remember that artificial intelligence is now we're getting much more sophisticated. We're getting much better in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of improving in the technology. So we are at the embryonic stages of artificial intelligence, okay? And unemployment is low in Japan, but they're still dealing with the issue of unemployment. Robotics have this, over the years that Japan has improved their technology, they have displaced workers, although they boast lower employment rate. We have to put it into perspective. It is not true. Okay, fine. And now you speed forward to the US. Those companies that are automated, you can find they have improvement in employee experiences. You have improved customer service experiences. Fine. But how does that speak to the fears that people have in terms of they improve employee staffing, job satisfaction, so on and so forth. But in terms of staffing and how many people did they employ over last year compared to years that they were not as automated? Okay, how has the implementation and how have the implementation of the automation by AI over the last couple of years, how have that affected employee retention or their staffing? How many and their turnover rate? I don't hear about turnover rate, but they talk about feelings and experiences. That's not what I want to hear. Let's continue with the conversation.
So, specifically, what are the jobs that are most exposed to automation? According to a research paper by Goldman Sachs in March 2023, if generative AI lives up to its hype, it could bring substantial disruption to the labor market and has the potential to replace up to 25% of current work being done, which globally could expose approximately 300 million full-time jobs to automation. In the US, for example, administrative and legal professions are characterized by particularly high levels of exposure, whereas physically intensive professions like construction and maintenance exhibit low levels of exposure. Meanwhile, in Europe, clerical professions are characterized by particularly high levels of exposure, whereas skilled manual workers and artisans, such as craft and trade workers, exhibit low levels of exposure. Be that as it may, many of the professions that are at risk of AI automation are also in heavily regulated sectors, and international and national bodies are beginning to take the first steps in AI regulation, a sign that governments are concerned about AI's potentially destructive effect on jobs. On May 11, 2023, for example, EU lawmakers reached a consensus on stricter regulations for controlling generative AI and put forth a proposition to prohibit facial surveillance, with the European Parliament set to vote on the draft of the EU's AI Act in June this year. As we've seen, the potential...
What is the US doing, the US government doing in terms of in this regard, framing and formulating regulation that would protect industries from exposure to artificial intelligence and what it may do to those industries?
Potential risks pose formidable challenges, while the promise of improved efficiency and transformative innovation offers a glimpse into what could be. Let's take a look at these leading concerns and potential benefits. To start with, do people believe that AI is making their lives easier overall? Well, according to a YouGov survey in December 2022, 40% of Americans think exactly that, with only 10% who believe it's making their lives harder.
I'm going to tell you, as a content creator, as a writer, as an adjunct lecturer, as a student doing doctoral studies at Georgetown, as a web developer, the Neoliberal Corporation, we also provide web services, web hosting services through Ants Business Solutions. It has made my life better, to be honest. And we were struggling to hire staff. We were struggling to hire and to get, and now some of the stuff that we were thinking about, we were hiring to get people to do, we don't have to do that anymore. So in a sense, it helps. You don't have to think about getting all that loans to hire people to do things that we would have usually had to do. So therefore, then it also helps small businesses and startup. It helps. So certain companies and small businesses and so on that have a problem with generating and paying staff and getting capital to hire staff. Some of the stuff that you would have wanted that staff to do now, you don't have to rely on. You can use OpenAI. So in a sense, indeed, it helps small startups. It helps mama papa stores and companies. And one young lady I met some time ago, she is helping to develop the content on her website. If I'm telling you, OpenAI is complete, has revolutionized my work. And if you can get AI, it will help to do. And as people move towards we talk about the barter system many years. I believe that the end of the life, I believe that we're going back to what things used to be. Because if you know what's not being displaced in terms of what has the least exposure, what skill has the least exposure, crafts and people that do small jobs and so on, crafts and those handy jobs and so on, and people with certain crafts and skills and so on and so forth. Those jobs are not losing exposure. And I'm saying as we move to as we think about work today, we have to now probably rethink about work. And we think about how the valuation we put on people's work as well. That those things are very important. Let us continue with the discussion.
However, AI adoption doesn't come without very real risks and challenges. In a 2021 survey of Americans' worries about AI, almost 75% of adults had concerns about a loss of personal privacy due to greater AI adoption, and around 70% were concerned about the irresponsible use of AI by countries or businesses and reduced employment opportunities. Interestingly,
by the way, when we talk about irresponsible, yesterday there was a news story about someone went into AI and asked, how do I rob a bank? And the AI, and if you play, and they manipulated it until, or rob a store or something, and it provided a movie of it provided a movie of a movie scene or script where it involved robbing a movie. So quite interesting. Talk about plagiarism, in other words, asking students to do work, but of course, and so it turned in a particular, but of course, those fears, but those aren't real fears when it comes to it supporting students, because I believe that students would now utilize it to generate amazing papers that are seamless and free of errors. But I say to people, I deliberately leave errors in my work so that people will know that it is not AI generated. Let us continue with the discussion.
Respondents were more anxious over the irresponsible use of AI than potential job losses caused by the technology. These concerns are not exclusive to the public. Even renowned figures in the AI community share similar worries. Geoffrey Hinton, widely regarded as the godfather of AI, recently announced his resignation from Google in an interview with the New York Times. Hinton expressed his concern for generative AI being used as a tool for misinformation, saying that it is hard to see how you can prevent bad actors from using it for bad things. Indeed.
Well, this is what I've said. Teach people critical thinking. Teach people critical thinking. Beef up the education. Now is when countries and governments and organizations and institutions need to focus on looking at education and how education is provided, rethinking education and looking at socialization, looking at systems and ways, okay, looking at these things to prevent some of these things from happening. You have to teach people critical thinking so that they can and logic and reason and common sense, and to decipher between things. Improve the education that we offer to people, and instead of diluting it. And just so you know, artificial intelligence will also probably help to provide that. By the way, I think Twitter has now community notes where individuals can respond to people when they, we talk about peer review. When someone writes a particular paper and submit it and want to publish a paper or book in academia, an academic book or a paper or essay, it has to go through peer review. The other peers have to review it. So when something is generated by AI, if it is not reviewed by other persons, it is just information that is not reviewable. It is not authentic. It lacks authority. Okay, when it is peer reviewed and goes through the rigor of academia and so on, then yes, it can rise to that level. So we already have things in place to ensure that information that is being put out is one of that carries with it a particular pedigree, and that has authority, that has reputation, and once it is peer reviewed and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have to ensure that we have to probably build that into the system.
We find ourselves entering an age that resembles an AI arms race among the big tech firms, or a modern day gold rush with a Wild West spirit. That things will get both very interesting and ethically complicated. We're likely to enter a period of not being able to trust the authenticity of photos, video, audio, and text, and how we solve this problem is still up for debate. Turning our attention to AI risk from a business perspective, cybersecurity takes center stage as the primary concern for organizations integrating AI into their workflows. In fact, over 50% of respondents in 2022 highlighted cybersecurity as their top priority for mitigation. Cybersecurity is likely the primary focus of mitigation due to the increasing complexity and potential vulnerabilities associated with AI systems, which require robust protection measures to safeguard sensitive data and enterprise interests, and in preventing cyber attacks. But what does responsible AI implementation look like? Well, responsible AI systems take into account broader considerations such as fairness, transparency, accountability, privacy, and the potential impacts on individuals and society. They are designed to mitigate biases and minimize harm for users. Moreover, it involves ongoing monitoring, evaluation, and adaptation to ensure that the systems operate within acceptable bounds and avoid unintended consequences. According to the PwC survey, an overwhelming 98% of respondents expressed some level of ambition to make their AI deployment responsible. However, it is worth noting that less than half of them had concrete action plans in place. Interestingly, the most common response regarding responsible AI deployment was to ensure compliance with applicable regulations. But the allure of AI's potential productivity gains and lucrative rewards for early adopters are too enticing to resist. And according to a Deloitte survey in 2022, 94% of business leaders agree that AI is critical to success in the coming 5 years. In that same survey, AI deployment was found to deliver valuable real-world business results, with approximately 50% of respondents significantly more likely to report positive revenue-generating outcomes from AI deployment. Specifically, those AI-generating outcomes were found in entering new markets, expanding services to new customers, creating products and services, and enabling new business and service models.
And I must agree. I must admit what he says, but I agree. As we at the Neoliberal Corporation, we are expanding we're diversifying and we're expanding, and we are providing web services, web hosting services, content management and applications, and so on and so forth. And it has helped us to really look. Say, for example, I wanted to find out the costing. I said to OpenAI today, write me a proposal with a cost range, and then we can negotiate. It's artificial intelligence or OpenAI really, especially for young small startups, small businesses, it really helps. Now we can do paper writing service for people even easier. We can edit even much more easily. But guess what? People can do it themselves too, but if they know how to do it. But guess what? It's free. It's easily accessible. I mean, if this OpenAI is available to any and everyone, then it helps to minimize income inequality. We talk about income inequality and poverty. Then everybody have access. I know we can all compete and race. If all of us have, if you make AI, if you limit and regulate AI so only some people can have it and not anybody, it's not open to anybody. And of course, it helps to promote income inequality and so on. But what if you make the field flat? It means you have to make it accessible to anyone. Now the ability to be able to use it and curate it, it becomes the next issue.
What does all this mean for the global economy? Well, the 2023 Goldman Sachs research paper indicates that AI could raise global annual labor productivity growth by 1.4 percentage points and US labor productivity growth by 1.5 percentage points over a 10-year period. This, of course, depends on a variety of factors, such as how powerful the next generation of AI is,
and what industry you are working in. It does not. It's not, and you know, I don't know what's going on with researchers today. It depends on the industry you are in. It will, okay.
The difficulty of tasks it will be able to perform, and the number of workers displaced. Indeed, significant economic gains are on the way if AI can deliver on its promise, with widespread AI adoption potentially increasing annual global GDP over a 10-year period by 7%, amounting to almost $7 trillion, or roughly 2.5 times the value of the tech firm Apple. So to wrap up, on your screen now are the key takeaways from this presentation, and in a nutshell, historically, the displacement of workers by automation has been balanced by the creation of new jobs. Technological innovations give rise to new occupations, contributing significantly to long-term employment growth. This combination of labor cost savings, job creation, and increased productivity for workers offers the potential for a substantial productivity boom. ultimately leading to enhanced economic growth. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, you talk about new creation. There's also job disruption. And just so you know, for every one job that AI creates, that one job takes over 5 skills or 5 jobs. So, okay, say for example, earlier we saw the data. It's going to disrupt 83 million jobs or 89, but it's going to create 69. So that 20 million jobs that's not created over the next 10 or so years. What I'm to do is 20 million people. What's going to happen to those? Are we going to have to grow? Are we going to have unemployment? We're going to have to, therefore, we're going to have to grow. We're going to have to pump more into unemployment. And already we talk about the US debt being so high. There's a standoff in Congress right now. Okay.
Thank you very much, Tim, for the great presentation. Now time for questions, and I can see them arriving already. The first one is about prompt engineering. It's an interesting profession as it doesn't require a technical background and it's pretty well paid right now. Is it the profession of the future?
Prompt engineering. So yes, it is a very hot topic right now. It involves effectively communicating with AI models to achieve a desired result. And because of the integration of AI in businesses, I expect the demand for skilled prompt engineers to increase right now. I think we've all seen the job postings where, for prompt engineers that offer hundreds of thousands of US dollars a year. And I think right now, if it could, give you a competitive advantage in the workplace and improve your career prospects. But I also think that prompt engineering is going to become a saturated market in the near future. So I think we can expect within 1 or 2 years that companies may start considering prompt engineering to be a standard skill that is required for jobs of the future.
And by prompt engineering, they're talking about generating AI responses, conversing, entering prompts within curating questions so that AI generates the right responses and so on and so forth. I spent quite a few time working on that today, and I've mastered prompt engineering. It's not difficult at all. So that's why it will become standard. It will become a clerical job. You'll have just so you have people at the call center taking calls and so on and so forth. Prompt engineering, where people now are going to be entering prompt questions and whatever within the AI model for it to put out whatever it wants. So, of course, yes, I completely agree that it's going to be part of the clerical aspect of AI. Next question.
Thank you. And here's the second question. How will governments drive this economic impact? How about social responsibility and ethical behavior related to data privacy? I can take this question, and as much as I hate this popular saying, it remains to be seen, that's actually the case this time, because I think key is the regulation. It took 14 years since the Facebook birth to regulate social media industry, or at least to start regulating. In case of ChatGPT, it's going to be more or less 6 months, maybe a bit more. So it all depends how regulations will go. And it looks like after the initial backlash, ChatGPT makes its way to the public education system in the US at least. Schools in the New York City are introducing ChatGPT, and they encourage even some students to use and support their education. So I believe it's an open question how this industry will be regulated and how governments will drive this economic impact.
Yes, I agree. I mean, there's also some examples. Italy's temporary block of ChatGPT due to privacy concerns, and a number of other countries that are considering similar action indicate some kind of cooling down in terms of, AI deployment at full speed.
I hope we have time for one more question.
Before that last question, I don't see how AI, I'm not sure what privacy issues people are concerned about. I'm not sure what the issue is. I've been using OpenAI. I'm not sure about the privacy issues. Probably the thing is that it pulls from the chat GPT or artificial intelligence, it pulls information from the World Wide Web. When you ask a question and it generates a response, the response that it generates, it's not new. It's something that's out in the world. Somebody it finds information somewhere in the World Wide Web and gives it to you. It doesn't give credit. What they have to do is to build AI within AI a kind of a referencing kind of a tool where whatever it pulls from the World Wide Web, it provides some kind of reference, so to speak. I think that is something you have to think about. The second thing is, but outside of it pulling information, people were still doing it, going on Google and Wikipedia and pulling stuff and doing it themselves. The only thing is that they don't do it now. The machine does it for themselves. I don't see the big deal. That's not the catastrophic thing. I believe where AI poses a problem is that it levels the playing field. Where AI poses a problem is that it means if anyone have the ability, or if anyone can have access to artificial intelligence and chat and the tools and the models and so on, it means that it strengthens the competition between and among peoples. It means then that larger companies, their wealth are now threatened. Larger companies' wealth are now threatened. It means the competition will be much stiffer, will be much fiercer. Okay, it means that companies won't make. Yeah, okay. They say that GDP. They predict that GDP is going to be higher, but it's not going to be higher in terms of one company won't make all that money. Okay, it means then the pie would be spread out, and that's a problem. The positive takeaway for me from OpenAI is that it encourages wealth, not just for the few, but for the many. Once it is accessible. Okay, if anyone now have access to the information, access to the technology, and they can use it in their work, and they can go around the money and the capital they need to develop the technology, to develop the labor, to develop the staffing. They have the AI technology in order to do that. Then that poses a tremendous opportunity. It means that these companies can save and make more money, and that's where the problem lies. The problem is that it creates a challenge for people who were already in the market. In other words, people won't have monopoly over certain information, over certain things. It means you will have to share your profits with other companies and new companies. There'll be more startups, more businesses. That is the problem. Let's get the final question.
Alex, do we?
Yes,
okay.
We can do one more.
Thank you. Is AI a marketing ploy? Is it a new metaverse? It's an interesting question because metaverse is, let's put it, less popular today.
Sure. I mean, I can take this. I think generative AI is being used as a marketing tool by some companies, but it's not necessarily a gimmick. I mean, I think everyone who's used ChatGPT can see that it's incredibly effective, and it's captured the cultural zeitgeist. And unlike Meta's metaverse, I think that we can see that generative AI is expected to have a pretty significant impact on society and in a number of different industries, as we discussed in this.
Timothy, I'm sorry, I'm going to answer that question. OpenAI or ChatGPT, I mean, it can be used as a marketing tool, but not as a market. You cannot think of AI as Meta or Facebook, Meta in that sense. You can ask OpenAI to provide you with a marketing strategy, provide you with a marketing plan, give you ideas about the best place to market, give you ideas about the marketing trends. It's a research information tool, But in terms of using it to send messages to people, I don't think it's developed as yet. Maybe probably it is something that they can develop into it. In other words, say for example, say, okay, AI, generate an email and send this email to 1,000 people who has Gmail, who are interested in this. It hasn't done that yet, but I believe that that is the way of the future. You can now ask AI to send a marketing email about yourself and about your business to clients who are within a particular market, within a particular field, and maybe it can, but it has not been set up to do that as yet effectively, but it is being done. So the technology is being worked on. Timothy will wrap up his presentation.
But really, it depends on if AI firms are able to deliver on their promise. So I also think that there might be some companies and organizations out there using the term artificial intelligence without explaining its meaning or functionality, and that may indicate that those particular organizations are just trying to capitalize on the buzz surrounding it.
Okay, I'm not sure about what he says. That doesn't speak to the question at all. Whether or not OpenAI is being used as a marketing tool. Now, there are tools and there are tools. You can use tools to get information, and you can use tools to send and to disseminate information. Okay, you can have market, okay, in that sense. So it is not necessarily, you cannot use it as a marketing platform as yet. Okay, but that it's not far-fetched to see that it can be developed into that technology and that people are doing so. Okay, we will stop here. I would like to use the opportunity to thank Timothy and the people at Statista for this powerful presentation. I think let's hear the wrap up here.
Some companies use the AI explosion to communicate it to their investors and to drive their stock prices, announcing very rough estimate how many people they will lay off, which was a bit sad. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to come to an end. All other questions will be answered by our team of Statista and our today's expert, and will be sent to everyone afterwards together with the presentation. Before we will close the session, I would like to thank you two for being our experts today. It was a pleasure. And I want to thank all of you who participated today. I hope to welcome you all to our next Data on Stage session soon. And stay healthy and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to the Neoliberal podcast. I appreciate Alexandra Von Hay, Senior Marketing Manager and Organizer at Statista. You can email her at webinars@statista.com. We'd like to thank the presenters, Timothy Owens, Team Lead at Team Lead of Research and Digital at Statista, and of course, Vadim Makarenko, who is Director of Research Development at Statista. Thank you guys. Thank the team at Statista for providing this information and allowing us to share this with the world. Please send us a feedback and let us know your concerns about artificial intelligence, or if you don't have concerns, you have questions, or if you have any positive, please let us know. This is the Neoliberal podcast. Support us. We are doing a fundraising drive kickoff for the work that we are doing, as we plan to expand and to grow our platform and our media services and so on and so forth. So please support us by going to anchor.fm/theneoliberal/support and subscribe to the show. It's free. We are on YouTube, and we are also on Spotify. We are on Spotify for podcasters, our main platform. We're also on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, the Audible, Apple Podcast, Podvine, PA Adverb. Is there anyone? And several others, Kobo, and several others that's too numerous to name. We are heard in over 36 countries. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And we are available. Go to theneoliberal.com or RenaldoCMcKenzie.com. They are offline right now, but we are working to redevelop, redesign, and relaunch our website please go to anchor.fm/the-neoliberal and send me an email, renaldocmckenzie@gmail.com. Thank you for listening or for watching. What good?